Hello, hello. Bl'Artagnan here with World of Illusions, Divine Shiva Lufenia Plus. This fight sucks. Okay, with that out of our system, let's get into it. Before we do, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell. I know it's a total meme, but I am trying to get towards 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and any bit of engagement that can help bring eyes on the channel is really appreciated. Only like 10% of my viewers actually hit the like button, so show me some love. Anywho, so what do we got going on here? We have an incredibly difficult fight featuring Vayne, Warrior of Light, and Core. Much like the Cosmos version of this fight, it's a multi-phase situation where first we gotta beat up a single Shiva, and then she splits into two Shivas, and they have this obnoxious freeze attack, and it sucks, and some things never change. Shiva sucking the fight is one of those things. For this part of the fight, I'm not using Vayne LD because I want to save as many of those as possible for the tail end of the fight. Core and Vayne, of course, work really well together in terms of pumping out turn-efficient damage. Turn-efficient damage is the name of the game for this fight because of mechanics that'll become apparent during the next phase of this fight. It's funny, I was talking about phases a while back. This is a fight where you really need to kind of plan things in terms of... you have to think about this fight in terms of kind of phases and damage windows and, like, understanding when to pull the trigger on different things. If this is your first time seeing the darn thing, you'll see why soon enough. We now have one Shiva down, 2 to go. Doofuses. They're break delay vulnerable, and by that I mean they're regular delay immune because they reflect them back at you, which is kind of funny, honestly. That's pretty hilarious, but also, oof, that is rough. Vayne is actually quite solid here for being able to control their turns with his break delays, because you really don't want those recasts going off more than they have to. The orb, on the other hand, can go off as many times as you want. It's non-lethal, and the Warrior of Light tanks it rather handily, actually. It's probably the least threatening of their main mechanics. The most annoying thing about it is it reduces the duration of any debuffs that they have on them by 2 when it goes off, which is just kind of frustrating. It actually resets their break status, which can be kind of handy if you're trying to get fancy. Just something to keep in mind. So here we go. We're just, looping through Vayne's punching rotations and refreshing buffs with Core and Warrior of Light as possible. Now the big thing, watch out for with these guys, which you're probably aware of, is their threshold attacks, which are the same as the recast. Basically, at 80, 50, and 30%, they're going to be automatically casting the recast, and the recast is one of the more obnoxious recasts we've seen in this game. Although it's actually not a new one. It's the same attack that the Cosmos fight uses. I mean, jacked up for Lufenia Plus standards, of course, more damage and whatnot. But it'll freeze you, and you don't get to go until until it acts again, and then you're finally unfrozen. You'll see there, we actually HP attack with Core so that we can bring them both below 80% at the same time, right before C goes. So you see here, this is actually perfect, as far as, as close to perfect as we can get with this attack. Because they've now applied debuffs, and they've attacked us, and they've frozen us, but because the attack triggers automatically, you can set it up so that their turn comes right after, and you aren't wasting much of turns sitting there frozen. 70 turns, which is the turn count of this fight, isn't a crazy restrictive turn count, but if you waste a bunch of those turns just kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs being a frozen doofus, you're gonna have a rough time. Alright, more countdowns. We're unfortunately losing Faris Call as a result of that, so that didn't last long, but it's okay. Luckily, I guess to Selject, Brave damage reductions in this fight aren't as high as they have been lately, so Vayne actually hits pretty darn hard this fight, which is pretty handy. I'm going to go ahead and use his Burst effect now. I was speaking before about damage windows, and what I figured here was their recasts are... This is kind of a time between their threshold attacks and between their recast. I think I can get some good mileage out of the Vayne Burst phase without having to worry about him getting frozen and spending a bunch of time sitting there like an idiot. There we go. So, of course, we don't want C to act again while this burst phase is active so that we can maximize it. It's an interesting fight. I don't want to call it restrictive because, like, there are a number of proven and powerful units you can bring here. Ace is very, very good here. Ignis, of course, is pretty helpful. Warrior of Light, really useful. And Inject, of course, you know, is one of the better units you can bring to the stage in total. But, damn, the mechanics are pretty punishing. Alright. So we're just, taking advantage of those banked up LDs to take a bunch of consecutive turns, do a bunch of braking, do a bunch of pushing back. There's an awkward push-pull here that I have to respect, because we know in 10% that threshold attack is going off, and we have the recast charge now. It's very easy in this fight to find yourself in a position where you're about to eat the threshold, attack, and then the turn that they take to let you unfreeze is the recast that refreezes you. So, kind of navigating that tension is a key part of this fight, I find. Luckily, at the very least, we don't have to worry about managing an orb. We can just let the damn thing fall off. As luck would have it, the various effects and auras we have are enough to keep us hitting reasonably hard. Well, there's the freeze. And B still has its recast, so C's recast goes off. We don't care about that. So at least we got past one recast, but, like, this is gonna suck. God, this sucks. And C still has its threshold attack to go. I hate this fight. I hate this fight. It's such bullshit. Like, it just... You just sit there, and you're frozen, and you're just watching the turns count down, and, okay, Core was able to actually get us some extra turns there thanks to his counter break, so that was kind of handy. Well... Oh, yes, I almost forgot to mention the shields. Whenever they break you, one of them will get a 1 million HP damage shield that just is more stuff to chew through on your journey to clear this within 70 turns. It's just more of the race. This fight is a damage race, but it's also a very mechanically intense damage race. I find some of the hardest fights in the game tend to be a damage race where they also put mechanics on top of it. We're gonna go ahead and bring in Ignis now, because speaking of damage windows, C, as you saw, we dealt with the threshold attack. We timed it right so that we didn't waste a bunch of turns to frozen. We're gonna try to take advantage of this damage window now that we've opened up, where they don't have the recast and we have some time before their next threshold attack. It's kind of awkward. Some teams can actually force it such that they bring in like a Cloud of Darkness friend with like an ace or something. They can set it up so that when they bring in the friend, they can actually rush from 50 to 30 without giving the bosses a turn, so it's back-to-back threshold attacks without having to worry about, Basically, the attacks are going to happen, but you can minimize the pain they cause, which is kind of handy. Anywho, we're going to summon now, because I don't want this Cloud of Darkness unshielded by the time these guys are ready to do their threshold attacks. So we're going to go ahead and apply the Warrior of Light shield. And, gonna go ahead and bring these guys both below 30%. It's time for that last threshold attack. We're not gonna use the EX. We want to save that until after the freeze, because we don't want to waste, 3 stack turns for Vayne with that thing going off. With the freeze in play, Anywho, okay, we just need to go ahead and there we go. Perfect timing. The fire enchant is still up. I think this is everything we hoped for. It is time to burst. Wait, nope. I almost spoke too soon. We didn't want to burst there, because Vayne had 6 buffs and debuffs on him, so I used an AA to get rid of him. I want to make sure his LD buff has room to be applied. If you're looking for tips to play Vayne, I realized something I did here that was actually a mistake. I EX'd first and then spammed skill 2, which is fine, but if I had EX'd and then LD'd and then spammed skill 2, I could have taken advantage of the HP damage up from the LD buff, which I completely forgot about until just now, so... Something I appreciate about this fight, I will say, is that, while it's obnoxious and mechanically intense and annoying, I made a bunch of mistakes, and I don't think this is the best team you can bring. I don't think you have to play perfectly optimally to get through it. There are just certain pieces that you have to navigate very skillfully to get through, namely the threshold attacks and the recasts. So I appreciate that, at least. It could be worse, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get at, is what I'm trying to say to you guys. So we are now past the scary part, with them having down to the last 10% of HP. the scary part is over, guys. But we're going to go ahead and not let them get another turn. Don't want them to recast, don't want anything dumb to happen. The orb is gone, we don't care about it. We Cloud of Darkness here. Vayne's going to take infinite turns because I saved all those LDs. Probably saved too many LDs from the looks of it, but hey, this worked out perfectly. Jeez, what else is there to say? This fight sucked, and I'm glad it's in my rear-view mirror. And let's go ahead and... Jeez, I had 2 LDs left? Yeah, okay, I was a little bit too thrifty there. Anyway, whew, glad that's done with. Screw that noise. Not running this again. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching to the end. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next video. Adios.